Hello and welcome back to the Daily Bible Summary, where the goal is to renew our minds as we read a new chapter every day and ask the question, what can I learn? Today's episode is entitled Back and Forth Questions. Read Luke chapter 20 if you have not, and if you have, let's get started. The religious leaders want to be rid of Jesus. He cleansed the temple, he teaches daily in the temple, and the people are hanging on every word that he speaks, so they try to trap him. They ask questions designed to either discredit him with the people or to get him arrested by Rome. But Jesus turns every question back on them and even asks a few of his own. First up, are you even authorized to teach? They ask him, who is it that gave you this authority? Now he knows them better than they know themselves, because they either can't or won't acknowledge those who come from God. And to prove this, he asked them in turn, was the baptism of John from heaven or from man? Now they are trapped. If they say from heaven, Jesus will ask, why did they not believe John? If they say from man, the people will stone them because they all believed John was a prophet. So they say, we do not know. Jesus says, neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things. They refuse to answer his question, so he refuses to answer theirs. But the answer is obvious. John prepared the way for Jesus. If they had accepted John, they would have also had to recognize Jesus' authority, since John testified about Jesus. And then Jesus tells the people a parable about a man who plants a vineyard and leases it to tenants and goes away. Now the tenants are supposed to provide some of the fruit at the harvest time, kind of a payment, or they get something for working and he gets something from the vineyard. But the servants he sends to them are beaten, they're shamefully treated, or even killed. And finally the owner sends his beloved son, thinking that they will respect him. But the tenants, seizing an opportunity, kill the son, thinking that the inheritance will then be theirs. So they throw him out of the vineyard and kill him. Jesus answers with his own rhetorical question. Jesus answers his own rhetorical question of what will the owner do. He says he will come and destroy those tenants and give the vineyard to others. There is, of course, an objection to this conclusion, especially since the Jewish leaders are beginning to realize that he is speaking against them. They say, surely not, or God forbid. But he looks directly at them and asks them, what about Psalm 118? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The meaning is clear. The vineyard is Israel. The tenants are the religious leaders. And the servants are the prophets. The beloved Son is Jesus. And they're about to kill him. And because they reject him, the kingdom will be given to others. The scribes and the Pharisees know that he is speaking about them. But rather than taking pause to consider his words, or even consider Psalm 118, God's words, and the meaning of them, they want to arrest him immediately. But they fear the people. They're kind of in their own dilemma. So they try to lay a trap for him in order to arrest him by sending spies who pretend to be sincere, and they ask a question like, is it lawful for us to give tribute to Caesar or not? They think they have him now. If Jesus says yes, the people will hate him for supporting Rome and he'll lose support. If he says no, Rome can arrest him for insurrection. But Jesus shows there's no contradiction in paying taxes and serving God. We are to render to Caesar, the leaders, the rulers, the things that are theirs, and to God, the things that are God's. Yes, pay your taxes, but make sure that you are also given to God what belongs to him. Caesar gets coins, but God gets you. The Sadducees try questioning him next. They don't believe in the resurrection. And so they think they can prove it with Moses' command regarding the levirate marriage. Now, according to the levirate marriage, if a man dies before producing an heir, his brother or nearest kinsman is to take the woman as wife, and the children will be counted as belonging to the man will be counted as belonging to the man who died for inheritance purposes. So they bring to Jesus a situation with a woman who is passed from older brother to youngest, 7 of them, as each dies without children. After they all die, she also dies. Whose wife will she be in the resurrection? They got him now, because in their mind, she was still a wife to one of them, while they might not blink at a man having 7 wives, they would not stand for a wife having 7 husbands. First, Jesus says they do not understand. In the resurrection, people don't marry. They're like angels, he says. So there really is no problem to be resolved regarding this woman in the afterlife. But he continues and shows to them that from something else that Moses said, that the resurrection is actually real. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. When God said to Moses in Exodus 3, verse 6, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He did not say, I was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These men had been dead for 100, 150 years after Moses is born. But what we see here is that God recognizes they still live. They are still alive. I am, not I was. The tense made all the difference. And that can help us in our Bible study and interpretation as well. But in the text, the Sadducees are trying to make the resurrection look absurd. But Jesus shows they don't understand the scriptures, and they don't understand the power of God. Now Jesus asked them a question. How can the scribes say that the Christ is David's son, when David himself calls him Lord in Psalm 110? If David calls him Lord, how is he his son? The answer? Well, we know the answer from the benefit of hindsight. The Messiah is both David's son, descended from David, and David's Lord, God himself in the flesh. Jesus is fully man and fully God. But the scribes apparently had not thought about this seeming conundrum, and they're unable to answer. Jesus then warns the people about the scribes. They love recognition and the best seats. They love to make long prayers for show. They devour widows' houses as they say that they're honoring God. So they will receive the greater condemnation. The religious leaders are not humble servants. They are proud, greedy, and hypocritical. They use religion for personal gain, and Jesus exposes them. So what can we learn? First, you cannot reject Jesus and claim to follow God. The religious leaders rejected John the Baptist. Now they are rejecting Jesus. They think that they are serving God, but they're rejecting God's messengers, one of whom is God's Son. You cannot say you love God while rejecting Jesus. For us, we need to understand what God is saying to Peter in Luke chapter 9. This is my beloved Son, hear him. You can't be pleasing to God if you are not going to listen to his Son. So again, if you reject Jesus, you reject God. If you won't serve Jesus, you are not going to serve God. So ask yourself, do you recognize who Jesus is? Second, give God what belongs to him. Jesus says, render to Caesar what is Caesar, and to God what is God's. Caesar gets the taxes, but God gets your life. You bear God's image. You are created in his image. You belong to him. Are you giving to God what belongs to him? Or are you giving him leftovers? A little time, a little money, a little obedience, while keeping most of your life for yourself? Caesar's image is on the coin. God's image is on you. So who are you living for? The third lesson we might be able to learn is to watch out for religious hypocrisy. The scribes love recognition and the best seats. They love long prayers for show, and they use religion for personal gain. And Jesus says because of all that, they're going to receive the greater condemnation. So ask yourself if you're serving God or if you're trying to use God to serve yourself. Do you want to be seen as spiritual, or do you want to actually be faithful? Are you seeking recognition from man, or are you seeking God? Why do you do what you do? Tomorrow, Lord willing, we will move into Luke chapter 21. As we reflect on Jesus' authority, giving God what is his, and avoiding hypocrisy, we continue each day to renew our minds.